What's up?
Well, I have a bright sunny day. How about you?
Good, good, good. Um, Happy Tuesday to everyone. Uh, yeah. So let's get right into it. Um, how was your day today so far?
It's been a little productive.
Cool, cool, cool. Great, great, great. Um, we will start with mental illness. What do you think about? I'll let you take the floor on this.
Okay, well, I think a lot of our problems in the streets are mental illness that has yet to be addressed by one, the person, and two, the community. Definitely the other aspects of the community does know about the reason why we have such a struggle with the mental health out here. Our mental health boils down to a lot of things. It's environmental. It definitely has a lot to do with what we uh, what we eat to begin with. It comes back to what I was trying to discuss the other day. We are what we eat, and if we're not able to make those functions in our body happen, we become depressed. We become mentally unstable. And then there's other things. You start having diseases, and diseases aren't fun. They make you sad too. So you get depressed through that too.
Right,
But
right.
implicating yourself out here to eat better, to move better, you'll start seeing better things in life. Uh, I think also trying to get help respectively. I don't want to tell people to go and use pharmaceutical drugs. Yes, they work, but it's like you got to think of syntheticness. Even though it's the same thing, it's not the same thing. It's really hard to explain because I don't have a PhD into it, but I do know that I like to read up on it and I like to stay highlighted on the topics when it comes to topics like that. You definitely have to continue to research things yourself, but we already know. I
Morning chat,
I'm
morning people, mental
I
health.
personally think that everybody knows what they should be doing, what they should not be doing. But out here, if we're talking about like the streets of Atlanta or just the homeless community or the families that do need to seek better outlets, a lot of times drugs are definitely the reason for mental health being such a lifestyle that's horrible. I have witnessed a lot of times over how drugs go into homes and they take mom and dads away from their babies. And then sometimes those
Yo,
mom and
what's
dads
up?
don't ever come back. They might still
Yo,
be present, but I don't think they ever come back until they start choosing themselves. Even with us having the deficiencies to cause mental illness, we still ourselves can pull back and find ways to be happy without using a form of uh, substance. We're going to call it the medical, pharmaceutical ones. We're going to call it the street ones, and then we're going to call it the medicinal ones. I believe and have believed for a very long time that we needed nothing more than what our earth was giving us, and it's here. It's just needing to be discovered, it's needing to be used, it's needing for people to speak upon. And there are people, there are hundreds and probably, well, I should say thousands, maybe millions of people realizing that the herbs of the world, the flowers, the seeds, and even the roots. I was talking to my daughter this morning about how we we forget that we too are evolutional beings. We had to go through a process, and I like to tell people I'm nomadic. I want to live kind of simple and free of the restraints that come to keeping up with products like you go and somebody asks you, what laundry detergent do you use? And if you tell them, my mama makes her laundry detergent, they're going to look
Mm.
at you weird. But then if you go say, I use Tide, oh man, they buy that because that's the most expensive one. Or
Uh,
even when you think about the natural brands, which I would love to be able to afford going completely natural. And it's not hard to use those um, products, but it is more expensive, and that does deter people who are, living paycheck to paycheck. There are different ways that you can get into that type of living, and those are through affiliations, subscriptions. If you really are serious about it, you'll become it. But I ethically just stick to a few ingredients that you can buy in the store, and our grandparents used them, and they're just being forgotten about. But that's not to throw myself off topic. So this morning I was talking to my daughter about how, we were just becoming in this world as scavengers. And not just scavengers, but I think I used the word collectors. We would go around probably collecting things that we could gather because, I mean, we didn't have anything but our skin. And probably back then we were full of fur. But we couldn't really gather things unless we needed them. So we would have to get it as it came, just like the animals do. Like they are opportunist hunters, whether it be omnivores, herbivores, or carnivores. We all, well, they, not us anymore, because we have the luxuries of additives and preservatives. So we
mm,
can stick things on our shelves for a while. But to be at the highest form of ourselves, we have to eat and be thinking of the way that we were designed. And if we fall off the track of being that way, that's how we become sad because our body doesn't know what to do. We lose the ability to be happy by ourselves, and we have to replace it with synthetic pharmaceutical drugs or the street drugs. And the best way to replace it would be using what Earth has out here, such as the herbs and flowers and seeds and roots and etc. etc. It's also sad to have to eat animals. I'm not a vegetarian, nor am I would call myself vegan.
but
If
do you think that so what we put in our bodies has a lot to do with mental health?
Oh, of course, our environment too. Um, Not just the people we keep around us, but we have to remember too, we weren't supposed to be inside breathing in Freon or whatever makes an air conditioner make things cold. We weren't supposed to be confined this way, and that's where we all are. We're stuck indoors, not getting the correct environment to help also produce what's in our body to make us happy.
Mm, um,
And if you get to thinking about what's going on in the internet, Wi-Fi, the waves of stuff, that's something you can kind of understand, but you can't understand. And when you read more upon it or come across more of it, it's scary. I would love to be able to afford affiliation programs and go out there and implicate ways to help us cancel out the bad parts of the world. Every time I come across something, it's like, you got to pay this and you got to pay that. And it's just like, I understand all of what has to be, but it is hard to get a point across when it's all about money. It really is. And you just want to, you want to be able to get paid for your services. I get that completely. Why shouldn't we have to think of it like that? Anyways, because we all play a part here, and incentively, we need money to live. But freeformly, I like to go off a barter system. If I can do something for you and you can do something for me, it is definitely a win-win for each other. I right now have a gentleman that I help clean his house and he helps fix my vehicles. And
Mm-hmm.
he's an old
Naughty,
time.
naughty,
Yeah,
naughty, naughty.
what? No, sir.
I'm
Now, I'm sure he would, but no, sir. I've already set my boundaries there. And I think he understands and he has yet to come at me sideways. But uh, I do like people's companies, their stories that they can tell, and the things that they can teach me. A lot of the knowledge gets forgotten within us, and the collectiveness of books, now it's internet. If it's not recorded, it's almost like it's lost, but it's really never lost,
no.
especially if it's the right passage of thinking, the right passage of doing. Uh, it just, it's mind blowing if you think about it. How much
Really.
information has been lost, especially if you're a Bible reader. Sorry, if you're a Bible reader, and I'm not saying it's not true, not saying it anything else about it, but it does tell you how we as a community or a community as a collective will kind of be warned, and when we don't listen to the warnings of the world, we get those consequences, and some of them were where they got buried, burnt down, wars. What else? Especially with the one with Moses, and they had the plagues.
Of
But we
course.
have our own. Like, if we go back 100 years, you see it. And I almost, remember one of my fashion teachers in high school was telling me that fashion always comes around. And in that same year, I heard in my history class about how things tend to repeat itself.
Mm,
So if we don't ever learn this lesson, we're just going to continue to repeat itself, kind of like when it comes to relationships. If we don't start changing what has been not working, we're just going to start at the point. It might be a different point, but it's still going to be a point of backwards instead of going the forwards that you hope to project yourself into. Once again, that goes to, are you feeling like it? Are you feeling good enough to go out there and be that person? Sometimes food makes you crash, especially if you're insulin resistant or have diabetes. I have watched my cousin over time, and even some people who have diabetes will sit here and eat a whole bunch of sugar and expect insulin shots to fix it or them just to crash and it'll be okay. I tell them all the time, um, that's quite dangerous. Okay. And
yeah,
you would not be living if that insulin was not here. And that's
yeah.
that's dangerous.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that, but I think it definitely it would be burdensome because if the medicine wasn't here in the past and people were still able to survive, right? I mean,
Well, if you think about it, we only need medicine because our body is not in the environment of being healthy. And if we ate correctly and if we did correctly, we wouldn't have these problems. It's pushed onto us like people, you said it the other day, I'm a foodie. That food probably was never supposed to exist. If you honestly will sit back and think about it, was it ever supposed to be? Were you ever supposed to eat meat? I have not a clue. I know it's yummy. I try to eat respectively, but I still have kids who want to live in that world, and it's really hard to live in between of doing what's right and doing what's trending. They go to like football games and want a Gatorade, or they go out to eat and want you know, uh, the extra ice creams and stuff. It's hard to even live sometimes. I Whew, I tell people that I glitch here. It's like I want to be here, but I don't, and then I'm mad in between. And the only way it changes is if you actually go and do it. Same thing with your diet, same thing with your health. And I don't even like using those words. We're just going to say lifestyle. It's all about a lifestyle that is going to be able to get you to becoming a better person inside. And even when you are a better person, you still get thrown those trials and tests of the universe that is trying to see if you're ready. Like being bipolar, it's quite a struggle. But I should say, I myself know why I have these bipolar problems. And it has a lot to do with being stressed out and not taking the time to breathe. There's a lot of stressors that can hit you at once. There's a lot of frustration that comes within the day, especially being a caretaker and one who has to do it by themselves. I am not a single co-parenter, but I am a single parent, and I have um, I feel like myself as like a family keeper or a people pleaser, and that stresses me out. I simply just want
Why
to
do
do
why do
out here.
why do you feel like a people pleaser per se?
Well, it starts with trying to not make people upset. You're trying to get something out of them while they're trying to get something out of you, and we're all going to use each other. But it's just about not misusing that person or the relationship you have. And if you don't have the authenticity of actually going into these relationships that you're going to correspond with each other, and it becomes unbalanced. So being a people pleaser kind of keeps you from having conflict, and with that, you don't really get to speak upon your ideas, your dreams, and when you do, you don't believe in them. And I get stuck in that position all the time. I want to be the best that I can for the position, but I forget sometimes, and a lot of times I should have said, a lot of the times I had forgotten how to be that person myself in that position for them instead of that person for them, and losing myself in the position.
I think as a
That
people,
goes to all of the relationships, and I struggle with people thinking that my time is their time. I break away, especially my kids. But if, like, my bosses or a boyfriend or my parents, anybody that's needing my help, it's like you have to allow somebody to help you, but you have to respect that person to be helping you when they can help you. It's not whenever you need help. You ask for help, you take it right then and there, but you cannot expect people to help you on your own terms, on your own time, when those have already been trying to be established within the conversations that you have. I tell my children, if I'm busy, you're going to have to wait. I have already set up a time to talk to you about what I'm about to do. My son is the worst. He thinks mommy has to fix everything for him, and he does not want to problem solve by himself. And one moment, please.
of course,
Okay. And so that too, it's just, they're triggers for me. They're triggers when I feel like somebody doesn't honestly understand what I'm asking of them. And it's almost like pressing my button. But the lesson that I have learned and keep learning is everybody sees different things at their own perspective. Like, my child is young, children, I have two. My children are young, and My parent is old and needs help, and then my boss and boyfriends, they too need help, but it's that margin trying to make sure we hold up our boundaries and we respectively have a tone of holding up them boundaries, because I think where I run into is I'm too nice and then I'm too mean. I want you to listen, but then when you're not listening, it's like triggered. I've already asked you, and I don't want to sit here and have to explain myself over and over again. But maybe I needed to practice. Okay, yesterday I had an episode of like, I need to practice this calm patientness that says that I'm here. It's within us. It's within me. It's within this moment. Just breathe it in and practice it,
Right.
because everything else doesn't matter. Only that moment. Only that what that lesson inside that moment was.
What did you?
Sometimes I
How
get
did
it. Sometimes I don't.
how did you learn that you had bipolar?
Um, so my children's dad would always say that I was a bitch. But people out in the community be like, "You're so sweet," and this and that, and I was like, it's just like when I get around certain environments, I'm just like, ugh. So I finally sought out medical help as far as like a therapist and psychologist and stuff like that. And off the bat, depression, off the bat, bipolar. Also, when I was 16 and went through trying to like a traumatic moment in my life, my guardians decided to get me into therapy, and within that I got diagnosed with like ADD and a personality disorder. But what they don't realize is when people, well, like I didn't realize it, but I think my soul did, is it happens. And until like you feel safe again, and until you are able to confront what scared you or what put you through that experience, you're not going to be able to find the healing within yourself. And it is not just finding it and saying you're healed, it is an ongoing healing process that never ends. It just doesn't stop when you find it. You have to continue to use it over and over and over again. They're coping skills. They are take a moment, breathe in skills. Same thing
Right.
as coping skills, but it's definitely is within you to do it. And if you don't, then you probably will more and less continue to have that diagnosis. You hear nowadays that people are healing their ADHD. ADHD is definitely a lack of nutrients in your brain that allows your brain to do the connectivity that it needs. And if it does not have it, it's just zooming by and it doesn't get utilized in your body at all, just as a person who can't store things in their brain and keep it stored. They are literally, instead of spreading the knowledge, they are on a one track mind and it's super fast. ADD got bunched into ADHD a couple years ago. It used to be two diagnoses, and now it's just kind of there and the same circle now, even though it was the same circle, and now it's really in the same circle. That is just the lack of, us being able to keep up with that process, and it just goes a little bit slower. It's still the same thing, just much slower. One's fast, one's slow. So same thing, just depending which direction you go into. It boils down to if we are able to go ahead and provide our body with what is needed, then it wouldn't be happening. And with you have the syntheticness of the drugs, yeah, it works, but your body does, it will use it, but what it does with the other components of it gets stored in your liver. It comes really hard to process through your body, and sometimes a lot of times like we'll use birth control, it gets it gets peed
Wow.
out into our water system, and our water system only filters for what It definitely ain't hormones.
Right.
So our water is already filled with extra, 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 extra hormones in there. And birth control would be one of the reasons why there's just extra to it. Because we're just peeing it straight out, telling our body we're pregnant, telling our body we can't make another baby. And even then, when you have extra hormones in your body that was never supposed to be like that, you're going to have problems. I tried birth control one and thought I was going to kill myself. And I was only on it for like 6 weeks. Uh, yeah, that's serious. With my mental health drugs that I did take, I had taken them for, I believe, for like a year or two. I can't quite remember. I was happy as hell. I'm not gonna lie. I got so much stuff done within the time that I was, but I also was getting sicker. My body was hurting more. I kept getting like pains in my liver, and I ended up getting diagnosed with fatty liver disease. I've been an obese person in my life and still
High blood, you
am.
say?
Huh?
Repeat what you what disease did you say?
So fatty liver disease and sorry. So I got diagnosed with fatty liver disease, and then I don't even remember the point I was trying to get to. Sorry. So I
You
kept like what I'm saying is and fibromyalgia. What I'm saying is my body was like, even though it felt good up here, it just the body down here was obesity. So the body down here was not okay, and I also was gaining a lot of weight. I eat okay. Um, there are some things that I am able to eat nowadays that I didn't eat back then, but I definitely have changed diet again. It's just because the foods that we eat do cause our body to I guess kind of rust if you think about it. If you have a high pH going on in your body that's being acidic, what happens when something is acidic? And then you think about it. It's not even rusting, but deteriorating, rusting. There's so many terms that you could put onto it. It's doing something other than healing. So when I decided to get off my medicine, I did it without the doctor's consent and crashed really bad. And it was almost as if I was jonesing off some drugs. I could not get out of bed, and um, it was like the depression hit me a lot worse than I had before I even started the drugs. But once I got out of it and was able to really be, um, you tend to pick up other things, especially drinking. I would never call myself an alcoholic, but did I partake in some drinking? I did. And for a while, I was drinking and I would black out. I would black out and never realize why until later on, realizing what kind of body I have. I cannot drink certain things, and beer would be one of them. And the only thing that I have ever come across that I have never gotten sick off of was tequila. So another thing goes to sometimes when you quit one thing, you can't go back looking for something else. So if you quit mental health drugs, or if you quit drinking, you quit smoking, you do other things, you can't replace those with other unhealthy, unhealthy lifestyle choices.
right,
So don't don't think you have to go to that bar and feel happy, or don't think you have to smoke that joint to find yourself, because we're already here. We're definitely here, and I know sometimes we just need a little boost of confidence, and I don't even want to put it like that because I
uh,
hate to tell people, but when you are deficient of making those happy hormones, you don't want to go out in the world and do anything. So
right,
how do you replace it? And it's your lifestyle. Actually making that lifestyle that was meant for you is what really the only way you're going to find the happiness with inside of this life that's meant for you. We can be happy with what we do in our job. We can be happy with who we are as a role model, a parent, a spouse, but it almost has to be reminded to ourselves that we have to force ourselves to make us be happy through the things that we eat, do, say, and then we'll become. That's a remedy I believe in. I tell a lot of the people I come across, I deal with the community that is lower poverty, a lot of homeless people I talk to, trying to get them to just realize that they're still here. I can't help you in the sense of medicalness, but I can help you in a sense of like talking to you as a person to person. They're still people. They're very lost people and have yet to find the way of their healing process. And until they do, because I can't, and a church can't, or even other resources can't, unless they start to find it. And there's a couple of people that I've told them, like, you don't want to get too far gone where you aren't going to be able to be helped and you're considered a burden. You're going to end
Uh, Autumn has frozen. Autumn, technical errors right now.
you can yourself as a person make somebody happy just by a smile.
Cool.
Once more, I forget to implicate that within all relationships that I have because you get bugged by the people who I do. I'm not saying everybody because it really is. I would rather do nothing other than be a happy mom and a happy daughter and a happy spouse and a happy person if I didn't have to worry about the struggles of the world, and that is making a paycheck. But it shouldn't keep me from being those things, but that stress of making money, it'd be on my shoulders really, really heavy.
Yeah.
And I could imagine how it is to have everything taken from me. And I'd be so deep off into this like unworthiness inside my mind where I am out there putting myself to sleep. I could never. I Well, I take that back. Blacking out, drinking was one thing. Getting too high is another thing. Oh, off marijuana, or like I was mentioning earlier about my cousin putting herself in a sugar shock. We do those things, but I don't think it's. I don't see how people put themselves out like that. That is some crazy feeling they have that needs to be. It needs to be healed, or they're going to continue to keep drowning themselves in those substances to get away from here. Something did something to them, and they don't want to be here. And what an opportunity it is to be a human at this very moment. 2025? What? I'm, didn't think a 90s baby would be here, but I am, you are, and it's it's beautiful. I stare all the time at bugs and leaves and I'm like, wow, that's a leaf, but I'm a human. That leaf is especially these flowers out here. They're so pretty and it's like, but you're going to die soon. Especially becoming winter, you're dying soon. And then you're going to hibernate. Some of them. It depends what kind of plant they are. They're either going to die and spread their seeds or they're going to die and spread seeds and then still come back. Just depends who they are. But we ourselves, I mean, I guess the concept could be same thing. We could be like the plants, like we're either going to find our purpose and die and spread our seed, or we're going to find our purpose and still be able to spread a seed and live again. I don't know. I'm not going to tell anybody's religion that they're wrong, and I'm not going to push my religion on anybody because really it's not religion. It's just being. It's just knowing that there is something that created me. This world did not just happen on accident, even though evolution had to happen. That's why you have your skin and I have mine, my eye color, my hair type, just where we came from. Unless you get a DNA little analysis thing, you don't really know until you know. You wouldn't even know if you had melanin in your body until you knew, because a lot of times I like to tell people that just because you look one way doesn't mean you are. There, I have a cousin who actually is mixed with the same thing that my kids are, and that would be darker skin, and he's white. He is not of that color, but he is. And as he goes on, imagine when he says if he has a baby by a pale skin or a dark skin. A couple of generations down, they're not going to know who is who. So we really are everything in one, but still had to go through that evolution process to become. And same thing with the birds, and I guess we're going to say the birds and the bees and the butterflies and the trees. We had to become to be, and it's quite fascinating. I wish I could have, well, I should have implicated myself earlier on in life to study this stuff more intensively, because now it's just like a hobby, or if I come across it, I might attain obtain the information inside my brain for a little bit, and then it's forgotten. Definitely do enjoy the prospects of this life. But going
Yeah.
back to, mental health diseases and stuff, I want to also pinpoint that not just as in our environment, what we touch, what we put in our body, our clothes, you know, these have fragments that they leave behind. These type of things in our in our bubble, in our aura. There we go. Our aura. We're gonna say, our lotions, our toothpaste, and our perfumes, and our deodorants, and our really everything. Everything keeps you from connecting. Our shoes, our I even believe I know glasses. Like if
I
that's
think I
another
think
topic to be
yeah,
talked
yeah,
about.
yeah. I think everything is kind of interconnected, but I think you bring some good points as far as how the dynamics are pretty much affiliated with each other, and I appreciate your perspective, especially with the whole mental illness and what we put in our bodies, and you tying perceptions and family and outside forces that kind of bring into the play of mental illness. And I think that's pretty deep. What you're saying, how they all are kind of interconnected. That you brought certain people's morals and values and religious beliefs, and I think they all play a major role into someone's mental well-being. I think that's, and then also using your own experiences. I think our own experiences and our own trials and tribulations that we have to deal with accordingly on a daily basis also plays into that. So I think you bring up some pretty good points per se, and I think what do you think that needs to be done, or do you think anything needs to be done for people who are on the outside looking in to people's mental illness or disabilities? How does everyone kind of uh, progress or move forward, or take in all these I don't know variants, I guess, if you want to say it. I don't even know if that's even the
I
proper
think
word to
variance
say.
was a good word.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But
all the
you know, how does
all
like
the
how does
influences of it.
right, exactly. How does everything kind of be? How does everything either can connect? And we'll leave it like that.
Mm, I would say to leave yourself the room to grow, but also to be. Breathe in
Right,
when you're upset. Even the problems, even when you're happy, just keep breathing in. Breathe in through your nose, not your mouth.
right, right, right,
uh, the science behind that, I was like, whoa. We'll talk about that another time. But breathing in your nose is very important to just allow everything to happen. Once again, evolution. It's perfect, but it's flawed, and it knew what it was doing.
right.
To go out and be that change in the world, uh, you know, I typically won't give homeless people money, but I will give them something to drink, a kind
Right.
word, maybe even my presence of seeing every time. Like if I see this recurring person, I'll wave at them, tell
Do
them,
you feel? Do you feel
ask
like?
them how we're doing.
I'm glad you brought that up. Do you feel like mental people who are homeless, that's a mental issue? I mean, mental problem. I feel like people tie that as being a mental illness because you're homeless, even though that has
Most
nothing. It's more of
definitely.
an economic. Oh yeah, you don't think it's more of an economic problem?
It definitely is. But we all have choices that we could have been making to make sure that we wouldn't be in the same boat. Now there are times and people's stories are all different. Sometimes it just happens. Other times it's because you keep yourself there or you have put yourself there.
Okay, I want to close. I want to close. I actually want to
Hmm.
make that a topic for tomorrow. I think that's a great segue to
Okay.
go in because mental illness. A lot of people try to tie that in with homelessness, and I want to get your perspective on that because I think we forget more of the economic implication. Not saying that mental illness is not, it can maybe tied to it, but there's a lot of people who are homeless who are not mentally ill. They're actually people who are
Hmm.
degree carrying people, higher learning, higher degrees, doctors, professors, but economically the economics of their situation or financial abilities of their situation may not have played into the status of where they're in right now. But we'll speak more about that tomorrow. I
Hmm.
think that's
Definitely
pretty
will.
important to consider. And
Definitely will. That's a
yeah,
whole
I
nother
mean,
topic.
let's close it out. I mean, any last words?
Stay great in this world that's beautiful. We are the reason why it changes. And if you don't be the change, you won't get a change.
That's
So, yeah.
dope. That's dope. Autumn
So,
G,
until
Sammy P.
tomorrow,
Till tomorrow. YouTube live sessions. Thank you. We're
thank
out.
you.
Peace.